So welcome back. We also have some books for sale in the back there on Theology of the Body as well. So when I don't have a lot of time, I usually don't go over John Paul II too much, but it's his feast day, so we're going to talk about him, right? How many people kind of grew up with JP2? He was your Pope, he was our Pope, we love him. Okay, I don't like to call him saint because that puts him at a distance. He's just JP2, JP2G. We have to keep calling him John Paul II the Great because he is, right? So, a lot of people think that John Paul II has, Theology of the Body is so big that it's a new system in the church. And what do I mean by that? Augustine was the first one to create kind of like a systematic theological approach to what we believe as Christians. The next guy was Aquinas. Okay, 1,300 years later. And now we have Wojtyła. Now we have the Wojtyła system. And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow in the sense of how big theology of the body is and how it's the answer to so many things and a whole new approach to our Catholic faith. Not brand new. I mean, it takes into consideration all 2,000 years of history, but it's a development for us. So, how could John Paul II create this incredible new system, not only to explain the Catholic faith in a new way in our times, but also a new approach to all of reality? How could a celibate old white guy know so much about love, sex, and the human body? People really question that, you know? Okay, well, we're going to talk about that. So, this guy was like effortlessly cool. He didn't even have to try, right? He was actually a cardinal here in some of these pictures, but he used to go hiking and kayaking with young people, his college students. So he dressed down for that, and skiing and everything. He was very athletic. The Chuck Taylor. This guy was a hipster. So anyway, okay, so 10 reasons why John Paul II is the man. 1, he wasn't always old. 2, he was really brilliant. He had a double PhD. What was this two areas? Theology and philosophy. What did he prefer? Philosophy. He loved philosophy. He taught philosophy at the university level for years. Even as a cardinal, the only thing that stopped him was the papacy. Or he'd still be there teaching. He had a great relationship with his students. And he would go out with them and just out into nature and camp with them and everything. They called him Uncle. That was their nickname for him. And so they went to the Vatican after he became Pope, and they got to kind of see him, and they're like, oh, we can't talk to you anymore. And he said, go to confession. He goes, come on. It was Pope. Took him aside. He heard confessions. So he knew what was going on with people. He also presided at his young adult friends' weddings, accompanied them in the early years of their marriages. He baptized their kids. As a bishop, he created a family center in Poland. So it was kind of like a pro-life Planned Parenthood. That's what we need, right? We need pro-life Planned Parenthoods. So he had this lady, Wanda Popelska, I just like to say that, Wanda Popelska. And she was considered the woman closest to John Paul II. She helped him run these family centers, and they were like for prenatal care. They were like teaching natural family planning. They were teaching some sex ed, Catholic sex ed to young people. Just anything you wanted to know about the body and family and marriage prep, all kinds of really good stuff. Also, he lived under both the Nazis and the communists in Poland. So he saw this horrible view of the human person and the human body. This cruel, evil, crushing, utilitarian view of the human person. He witnessed the trashing of human dignity in World War II. He had a lot of Jewish friends. He used to play on the Jewish kids' soccer team. He was their goalie. And he saw a lot of his friends carried off to extermination camps. And even some of the seminarians. The seminaries were all closed during the occupation in Poland. And it was underground. So if he had gotten caught, he would have been killed. And some of his fellow seminarians did. So that kind of qualifies as some bad you-know-whatery, right? He was but mostly he was a mystic in love with God. Okay? This is how he could know all about love and sex and the body, because he was a mystic himself in love with God, who is the source of all love and life and knowledge and happiness and all good things. That's my favorite definition of God. The source of all good things. And last but not least, he loved the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of God. He had great respect, esteem, and gratitude and admiration for all women. So that really helped him too. Okay, so enough about John Paul II. We are going to zoom right in. I was asked to talk about evolution, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. So, can we believe in evolution as Catholics? How many say yes? How many say no? Yes, we can. Yeah. So, very simply, what evolution means is that things grow and change over time. So, evolution is undeniable. But how that happens is a whole other story, and scientists don't agree. There's macro and micro evolution. Micro is that species change and develop within themselves over time. Macro evolution, which is not proved, is that one species becomes another species. That's why we have the missing link. The fossil record does not show that one species ever becomes another species. In fact, it seems that species appear very rapidly on the earth. It's like God is still creating. And they disappear. Sometimes we don't know why they've disappeared. Other times, like it's an ice age or disease or something. So, if we want to believe that the human person, can God do things any old way he wants? Oh yeah, he's free. He's free and he's really smart and he's really creative. So he could have used evolution for our bodies, just our bodies, not our souls. So if we were developing from some hominid, they're called hominids, there's all different kinds, there's the Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthals, etc. So if God was developing the body in an evolutionary way, we do have to believe, though, that at one point he endowed that being with a soul, with a human soul, and from that point on, we became humans. We're human. So there isn't like kind of humans, like, well, this species is sort of developing self-consciousness and the kind of sort, no. At one point in history, kaboom, God endowed that developing body with a human soul, that we became human. Because if you're human, you can't be a total moron. Because now you're responsible. If you have a soul, you're responsible now. There's right and wrong for you. There's good and evil for you. Okay? It's almost like when God creates each human soul now, right? The parents give the body, right? They give their child the body, endow the child with the body. But God endows the soul directly into each human being, each new human being that's conceived. So it's we kind of have a precedent. I don't know what I believe about it. We don't know. We actually kind of funny, right? We're not exactly sure when we got here, how we got here. Science doesn't know. God didn't tell us exactly. It's kind of a mystery. We have to be comfortable with that. We may never know till we get to heaven. But we do know that we're loved. That's what matters. Okay, so as Pope Benedict said, none of us is some thoughtless, meaningless product of evolution. No, each of us is a thought of God. Each of us was created and loved and desired and wanted by God personally. So the problem with a lot of evolutionists is they have no room for God in their evolution story. We have room for evolution in our God story. So beware of atheistic evolution that says it's all chance, it's all random. And evolutionary stories can even be used to kill. Did you know that Hitler thought he was helping evolution? He thought he was helping natural selection along. Survival of the fittest. He only wanted what he considered the best people around. Do we have any of that going on today? We only want we don't want the disabled people. They shouldn't even be born. We want to kind of cull the herd, right? Get the nice people and do a little genetic engineering there so the kids are smart and have blue eyes or whatever we think is good, right? So we have to be careful with that. All right. Because sometimes we hear a lot of fundamentalist Christians or we mix among them, and they don't believe, they try to take the Bible literally, which cannot be done. There's parts of the Bible that can be taken literally, but other parts that can't. Who tells us what can be taken literally and what can't? The church. The same church that gave us the Bible interprets the Bible for us. Because you can't take the Bible literally. You can't. There's parts of it you cannot take literally. Because it's not a science textbook, right? It was never meant to be. And it's different types of literature. Some are poems, some are historical accounts, some are gospels, like preaching accounts, some are letters, right? Yeah. And so if you have any friends who like to take the Bible literally and say that Earth is 6,000 years old or whatever, you just say, well, have you ever sinned with your hand? Yeah. Why haven't you cut it off yet? Because Jesus said if you sin with your hand, you're supposed to cut them off. Pluck your eye out if you sin with your eye. Right? We can't take the Bible literally. Jesus was trying to tell us how serious sin is, but he didn't want us to go around doing that, right? Okay. So I want to go to person, because I really believe that human dignity is not obvious. You know, we have to be taught human dignity. We think that people are just going to kind of get it by osmosis, and everyone understands the dignity that human beings have, and what we should do and shouldn't do with regard to human dignity, but it's not obvious. We need to talk about it and learn it. So, if we're talking about theology of the body, at the most basic level, what is a human being? It's made of human stuff. Okay? A chinchilla is not a human being. Okay? It's a big difference. Huge difference. Okay? So people will say it's even falsified science that will show like these sketches of embryos and say all embryos look the same. They don't. Does this not look like a little dolphin? How cute. A little dog, an elephant, and a human being? Yes. So you'll hear things like chimpanzee DNA is 98.5 to 99.4% the same as human DNA. Have you heard that? Yeah. But the littlest percentage makes a big difference. So that's not to say that we're almost the same as chimps. We're not. We're very different. We share that same amount of DNA, that percentage I just gave you, with mice. So it's the little differentiations in the DNA that make all the difference. We share 60% of our DNA with fruit flies. Okay? So, we are humans. We are made of human stuff. And another cool thing about DNA is that we now know that we are all one big happy family. We're all one species, all one race. There's no such thing as race. Because they weren't sure about that before DNA. They're like, well, some people descended from something, and somebody other descended from something else. We're not really all one human family. No, we know that we are. So human dignity is the basic respect and esteem due to every human being simply because they're human. And as Christians, we know we're made in the image of God as well. Honor has to be earned. You know, we don't give people honors or whatever unless they deserve it. But we do owe every single human being respect. What about animals? Do they have dignity? Yeah, we tend to say integrity about animals, but they have dignity according to what they are. So, and we know that they're pain capable, so we should really take good care of animals. They belong to God. And the PETA people, they love, and the Humane Society loves Pope Benedict. He said a lot of things about animals, about respecting animals, so they quote him all the time. So, dominion over the earth does not mean domination. It means that we would care for the earth as if we were God ourselves. As if these were my chickens and God's animals. So it's okay to kick a can down the street. It's not okay to kick a cat. Pope Benedict said, these are creatures of his will, these animals, and we can eat them. We don't have to be vegans, we don't have to be vegetarians, we can eat them, but they should have a good life. It'll be better for us if they have a good, healthy life before they're killed humanely, right? So, Pope Francis said, no human being has more dignity than another. I love that. So, what is a person? What is a human person? A human person is a being of infinite value. So we're going to talk about human love, human sexuality. That means between two persons of infinite value. Remember, a human person is together, body and soul together forever. A human person is body and soul together forever. What does the Bible say human persons are? It's very simple, short and sweet. We've already talked about it. It's right in the beginning in Genesis. But it's the most magnificent thing we could ever say about people. Made in the image of God. Which means we must be like God, body and soul. But what does that mean? We hear that all the time. We're made in the image of God. What does that mean? Well, whatever comes after that phrase must explain it and must be really, really important. So what comes after that, immediately after that in the Bible? We're made in the image of God. Blank and blank, He made them. Yes, male and female, He made them. Anything else is a false identity. Anything else is a false identity. So male and female is not just biology. Human beings just made up biology. We just made that up. It's very helpful. It's just a way to categorize things and understand things. Male and female is theology. It's theology. It's revelation from God. God is revealing something to us through our maleness and femaleness. Well, what about people with gender dysphoria or trans or whatever? They're not left out. Anything else that people are experiencing is a theme, a variation on the theme of male or female. So nobody's left out by male and female. Science only finds two human genders. There isn't a third or fourth, or, like Facebook has 57 different gender designations. You can call yourself that, but it's not exactly true. You may be feeling that way. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, about feelings and all of that. Gender confusion is real. Gender dysphoria is real. Same-sex attraction is real. Body dysmorphia is real. These are all real things. But they're all a variation on a theme of male or female. So today our world says that gender doesn't really matter, that it's something you're supposed to create for yourself. Not true. Not true. It's a given. We don't have to work that hard. It's a given. It's a gift. Our maleness, our femaleness is a gift from God. Another thing that the culture says today is that there are no significant differences between men and women. A few reproductive body parts, and that's about it. That's not even scientific today, because we have brain science. We know women's brains are different from men's brains. Women have heart attacks differently from men. We have strokes differently from men. We recover from concussions different from men. Everything is different. Why do we have Men's Health magazine? Because our bodies are different, but our souls are different as well, because the body is expressing the soul. So our souls are also gendered. We have female souls that go with female bodies, male souls go with male bodies. We are equal. We are completely equal. We are equal in dignity, but we are not identical. And that's okay. Right? We're called complementary. What men are lacking, what men don't have, women have. Women are lacking. What women don't have, men have. And we're supposed to put our gifts together. So we're different in important ways, physically, sexually, socially, psychologically, emotionally, etc. Okay. So if we are our bodies, we don't have bodies, we are our bodies, male and female, and there are two different ways to be a body, male and female, and we're equal but different, both made in the image of God, then men and women must image God in two different ways. What? Yes. We are not called to be good persons. We're called to be good men or good women. And men image God in one way, and women image God in a different way. We're going to talk more about that. Okay. So, what about stereotypes? Are we stereotyping people? No. We're going according to science. some common sense as well. So for example, it's okay to talk about our differences as long as they're accurate, and these are not stereotypes or sexism or bigotry. Okay, example. Is this an actual difference or sexism? Women use more verbal communication than men. Is that sexism and bigotry, or is that a true statement? Just a fact? It's a fact. It's a fact. They count the words. What is it, 30,000 more words a day women use than men? Okay. You believe it, right? You see it, you hear it, you experience it. This doesn't mean that all women are super chatty, but in general. How about this one? Is this bigotry, sexism, or is it accurate? Women can't control their curiosity and like to gossip, so they can't be trusted to keep secrets. No, my friend, that is sexism and bigotry. How about this one? Men are wired more visually than men when it comes to sexuality. Excuse me. Men are wired more visually than women when it comes to sexuality. True, absolutely. How about this one? All men are leering pigs. False. That is sexism, bigotry. Okay. How about this one? Women's hormonal cycles can cause them to feel and display a wider range of fluctuating emotions than men. All the husbands go, true. How about this one? Because women are more emotional than men, it makes them fickle and unstable. False. Right. And you know what that's implying? It's implying that emotions are bad. No, emotions are good. Okay. Emotions are part of what it means to be human. Okay, how about this one? Men are not cut out for intellectual work. That's why they don't always do well in a classroom, and why more women are enrolled in college and higher education than men. Women are just smarter than men. No, not true. That's bigotry and sexism. To come to that conclusion, it's true that some guys don't do well sitting down in a classroom atmosphere, but to come to the conclusion that women are smarter than men is not true. How about this one? Some boys and men in general don't learn well or don't prefer to learn in a classroom format, sitting at a desk. True. Yeah, okay. So the origin of bigotry and sexism is ignorance. Ignorance. It's just not knowing the truth. The bigot is an ignorant person who does not perceive reality correctly. And incidentally, somebody is not automatically a bigot if they have a different opinion than we do. Especially if they respect human dignity and equality. They're probably not a bigot. Okay? So we gotta get our terms clear. So what is gender? So today, gender and sex supposedly mean two different things. Your sex, you've heard this, right? Your sex is what you're assigned to your body when you're born. And your gender is your spirit, is your soul. It's who you really are. It's who you feel you are. It's what you want to be. And it can keep changing indefinitely for your whole life. Have we heard this? This is the narrative. This is what when you go to university, this is what you're going to be taught. Okay? If you haven't already heard it. What is the separation of body and soul? What did we say it is? Death. To separate our body and soul and say they're two different things, that's all part of the culture of death. There's different ways to live the culture of death, to live this disharmony or disunity within ourselves. So gender and sex actually mean the same thing. If you have a male body, you have a male soul. It's our first clue. If I have a female body, I have a female soul. Things can go wrong. Things can go a little haywire there. It's okay. It's okay. We're human. We have all kinds of problems, right? We'll talk more about that. And some talk about, just gender fluidity that never stops, or a spectrum of sexuality. You can be all different things. No, it's male and female. We don't want to go after a false identity. And, as teenagers, it's kind of your task. You're trying to figure out who the heck you are, right? And you're trying out different stuff. You're trying, I want to be like this. No, I want to be like that. This is what I want to do when I grow up. I don't know what I want to do. I want to try this sport. No, I don't like that sport. I want to do this sport. We just keep changing a lot. That's okay. But be careful when it comes to something as basic as our gender, our sex. Because if you go on YouTube, They're going to tell you if you have like the slightest same-sex attraction, you're absolutely gay, you need to come out as gay, all this stuff. You should be trans, you should transition. If you're a guy, you should become a girl. If you're a girl, you should become a guy. You're going to be taught all this stuff. But I'm just going to throw one statistic at you. It's true, we have a lot of fluctuation as teenagers. A lot of things are changing fast in our lives, right? 75% of people who say that they are trans or bisexual or same-sex attracted at 16 years old, by the time they're 22, are other sex attracted. Heterosexual, back to heterosexual, other sex attracted at 22. 75% of people. These are like independent studies done all over the world. Okay. That means 25% persist in whatever that is, whatever else is going on. But 75% swing back. Okay. And in a sense, it's normal. It's a normal part of development. But to take somebody who's 15 years old and questioning their gender and to start putting them on hormones, start doing surgeries, this is not wise. This is not wise at all. And I'm going to show you a video tomorrow of just, you can go on YouTube and just check out detransitioning youth. These are young people who were like really aggressively pushed into transitioning to be transgender, and they're now like 20, 21, and they regret it, and they're trying to transition back. Okay? One gal said, I had trauma as a female. She doesn't say what it was. I assume some kind of sexual abuse or rape. I had trauma as a female, and I thought the answer was to become a man, to run away from that. She said, I needed to deal with my trauma as a female. I needed to deal with what happened to me. But now we have this option today. Oh, have surgeries. Like, just, it's a natural feeling. You want to escape, right, from that trauma. But the better thing is to heal, to figure out what's going on and to try to heal, right? So these girls have had their breasts removed. They have a 5 o'clock shadow now because they've been taking hormones, male hormones, for years. Their voices are lowered, and they want to become women again. So there's another story. You don't hear these stories in the media, right? Mainstream media. Do they tell you about the detransition youth? No. And the trans community gets very angry with them and tries to shut them up because it doesn't fit the agenda. It doesn't fit their narrative. And they're like, if you watch these videos, they're like, excuse me, but I do exist. And excuse me, but isn't that the whole point where I'm supposed to be able to choose my gender and tell you who I am? You don't tell me who I am? So again, there's always another story. And actually, transgender is rare. It's a rare thing. But it's becoming less rare because it's like a trendy thing. It's almost like a popular thing to be. So just watch out for that. If you're not sure who you are, you're struggling with your sexual identity or whatever you're struggling with as a teen. I would not relive my teen years if you paid me $1 million. Sorry. How many people agree with me? You would not go through that again. So guys, you're at a tough point in your life. You really are. And, we need all the help we can get. Do you take saint names for confirmation? You don't? Yes. You do? Oh, good. Okay, awesome. So, I live up in Canada. They don't let them take saints' names. It's terrible. I tell them, take them anyway. We need all the help we can get, right? Make some friends with the saints and get some help. Okay. So if we say that gender doesn't matter, or we can make up our own gender, then we're saying that the body doesn't matter. We're saying the body is irrelevant, it's meaningless, it's an empty canvas that and God is not speaking to me through my body. If I think I'm going to make it all up, then I'm saying God is not speaking to me through my body. My body is not made in the image of God, it's not a revelation of God. And it is. If we blur the physical reality, we blur the spiritual reality. We blur the physical reality, we blur the spiritual reality. And it's going to be harder to know what God's plan for our life is. So the Catholic Church may be one of the only entities left in the world today that takes the body seriously, that takes the physical world and matter seriously as a revelation of God. Science also takes matter seriously, right, in the physical world, but they deny the spiritual. And they're not supposed to do that because it's not their job. Scientists are not supposed to speak about anything outside of science, and yet they are. They're saying there is no God. We know there's no God. There's no God. There's no soul. They're not supposed to do that. And unfortunately, sometimes science works with big business to take our knowledge of how the world works and do kind of twisted things with it, right? Twisted up things.